Welcome to Resettled and Rising. I'm your host, Shadokh Tapesh, and today's guest is someone whose story beautifully reflects ambition, service, and the power of building community across borders. Joining us is Krishma Subedi. Her journey is one of resilience, purpose, and creating pathways for others to succeed. I'm excited to dive into her story, the vision behind her, and what it means to lead with impact across communities and continents. Krishma, welcome to the podcast. I'm honored to have you as my guest.
Thank you so much, Shaduk, for your introduction. I felt like, oh, that's very sweet of you, like hearing all of the words. So thank you. I'm excited to be here and talk to you.
Absolutely. I'm honored to have you as my guest. Through this podcast, I intend to create a platform for storytelling about the journeys my guests have to take to rise above, and I cannot wait to hear about it from you. So, how are you doing today? How's life going on?
Well, to be honest, today and my life in general lately have been very, very occupied by my little puppy. So it is going good. The day is good.
Perfect. Yeah, I saw your puppy and he is so sweet. He is so handsome, I would say. I just love him. I just hope one day I can see him like in person and pet him and everything. But that's good to hear that your day is going great. So through our conversation today, we will get to know you better on a deeper level. But I want you to think about a question that I will come back at the very end of this podcast. The question is, if someone wrote a book about you, what would the title be?
Okay, that's a really interesting one.
Yeah, I know, because whenever I speak with my guests, I know they've had such amazing experiences in their life and everything they're doing and have done. You can't just put it in one word or a phrase or a sentence, but still, I just want to challenge you in a way to put all of those experiences or the amazing, impactful things that you have done into a phrase just for the sake of this podcast. And who knows, maybe that is just the title of one book. There might be a lot of other books, you know? So, yeah, I can't wait to hear that at the very end. But let's start it. So tell us who Krishma is. Tell us how, when, and why you left your country and for what purpose.
Definitely. So, Krishma, me. So, I would definitely start my identity with saying I'm a Nepali immigrant here, first generation college graduate. And then also, if I may add, the eldest daughter in a South Asian family. So, this is Krishma. And to answer the second question about like why I moved here in the US. So, I moved here as an international student and I was just 19 carrying some of my suitcases, my notebooks, my laptops here and there, aiming for something big. I would say, when you're 19 and you're very excited about like going to a country, starting a new life for yourself. So that is, education and those dreams made me come to the US.
Wow, that's very amazing. Again, going back to when you said first generation college student, I totally resonate and I am so proud of you. And I'm truly sure your family is proud of you too. It's great to have you with us. So, for listeners meeting you for the first time, and for the context to my audience, me and Krishma met only once in an event at the United Nations Association for USA. And then we both were members of UNA, and we met once in that event, and it clicked, and we got friends. We shared social media, and we followed each other, and this is how this episode of the podcast came to life. And it's amazing for me also to know someone as passionate and ambitious as you and to have you in my friend circle. So, yeah, I met you once, but for those who haven't met you or those who are listening, to this podcast and are seeing or hearing your voice for the first time, how would you describe yourself in 3 words and why?
Okay. So before answering that, I would definitely say reflecting back on the first time we met, Shaduk, I think like, when I first saw you, you're of course like a beautiful woman, but I remember specifically when you stood up in front of everybody and you spoke about Afghan women and girls, and that was so impressive. Like I'll never forget the time when you just rose, made the whole people, like everybody in the UN event, everybody was just silent and you're speaking, just reminded me of that. And then, I'm so glad, I got to know somebody like you. And then, now speaking here, on a podcast that you have, it is really such a full circle moment. I really love it.
Appreciate it, truly, really. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And just to use 3 words to describe me, I would say first thing, I love the word in your podcast too, honestly. Like how you said resettled and rising, so in similar to that I would say resilient, because I think that's what has life has basically made me be a very resilient person. That is one word. Another one I would say is hardworking. I'm somebody who likes to put in all effort for what I do. And the third word I would say is realistic. I wouldn't consider myself a very, very optimistic person. I am optimistic, but I think I lean more towards being a very realistic person as well.
Okay, so now it clicks to me why we're friends and why we just connected so immediately. It's because we have a lot of things in common, and being realistic is one of them. You're right. We're optimistic, but at times you have to be realistic about everything going on. You can't be just delusional, optimistic person. So good to know that. And I totally agree with the resilience, hardworking, and realistic part for you, knowing you and seeing what you're doing for work and everything. So take me back to how did you, I know you said you came through college. How did you adjust to your new life in here after you immigrated to the US? And what were some of the initial challenges you faced when you arrived in the US?
Sure. So, to say how I really adjusted, I remember, I was, of course, when you come very young, and then at the first phase is definitely excitement, starting with a new apartment, new college, and all of that. But, while I was trying to kind of like start that, I think the adjustment factor that came in was emotional adjustment. Because when you think about it, your world really flipped upside down, when you move to a new country, because especially your home is a comfort zone for you. Everybody you've known in your life is there to support you with anything that you did. But once you come here, education is already there, a lot of education system is new to you. People around you are new, and they may not understand the cultural nuances that you have known your entire life, your food choices. But there's already all those baggages that come with it. But to really say adjusting, it's like you just have to keep on going. You try to learn things left and right. You try to find people who will understand you, even like you try to make friends from your neighboring countries. I remember those are some of the things that I did when it came to adjusting. And challenges were, I think, trying to be very, very independent. You're very cocooned with your parents. Of course, when I came in, I was just 19. So the challenge was as simple as like trying to find like, go to grocery store, try to find, what's the best thing for me, try, apartment finding challenges, trying to make a brand new bank account for yourself. Some of those were, all the challenges that I remember besides my education in the early days.
Agree, totally agree. It's like starting your life from zero, and having no one there, especially your parents, who, as you said, you have depended on all your life, and then you travel to a new country and then you don't have anyone, and now you learn everything from the beginning by yourself. It's very challenging, but you got there, and you did it all on your own, and that's what matters, is the process it takes, and the things that you learn throughout the way, and that is what truly is life changing for everyone. Thank you for mentioning those things. So again, you graduated recently, I believe last year.
So I graduated in 2024 with a degree in economics from Purdue University.
Amazing. So tell us, how was that journey of going to university? How did you like it? And walk us through your professional journey after you graduated, and or even during your college years. Maybe you've had some jobs during in the college or outside. So take us through all those professional journeys since you have arrived in the U.S. and since you graduated past that.
Definitely, Shaduk, you're giving me a lot of making me think of a lot of, my journey overall and reflecting, and I really love that. I would say, so to start with, actually, interesting enough, Shaduk, I also was in New York State and I was also in a SUNY school when I started. So I started with university at Buffalo. And after I came, COVID came, in a couple of months. I remember. And, because of that, I think things got very, very isolated for me. And not just for me, I mean, like for everybody in the world, right? Things were very isolated. But, just think of just a student who's just 19 and here, trying to go for college. And then shortly after a semester, everything is just closed. So I remember for a semester, when you talk about job, then I was working in student dining because that was the one way to get your assistant really fast, so you could build more portfolio. And a lot of international students do tend to do that. So I did that. And after that, COVID was there. So, even there was basically not much left for me to explore or do because I was not going to campus. Everything was online. And during that time, for a while, because there are also financial aspects that come into play, right? Because you have to pay your tuition. You can't even, there's so many obstacles when it comes to going back to your country and coming back again here as well, because everything was very uncertain. So for a while, I came to stay in Nashville with my cousin and my brother-in-law for a while. So, that was good. And then after that, COVID honestly disrupted, I think, a lot of things that I had thought of. And but then I went back to Buffalo and then I thought of transferring school. And then I actually transferred to Purdue for my junior and senior year. So that is the time I transferred. And another job after I went to Purdue that I did was I worked as instructional designer for the College of Veterinary Medicine, where I learned a lot. I did a couple of internships, just like I was working as a undergraduate data science researcher for BSF. So those are some of the highlights when talking about working in my undergraduate years and after graduating. Um, and currently, I work in corporate healthcare in tech. Um, so that is my professional, my from my undergrad to here. So that has been my journey so far professionally.
Wow, you touched on all the points that I wanted to know, and I'm sure my audience as well also learn a lot from the time that you mentioned and your undergrad taking uh, jobs just to get those immigration documentations in order, and everything that is needed for easier adjustment to the life in the U.S. You touched all those things, and I'm really glad you mentioned, because it always seems like getting to the college is the hardest part, but going there is like all fun and being with friends in the college, but not many people know about about the struggles that you have to go through for your immigration documents if you're an international student. Even if you're not an international student, then you have a lot of other responsibilities that you need to take care of. So college, of course, is fun. Every phase of life has its fun and also the struggles, which you clearly and beautifully mentioned. So tell me, what qualities or skills do you think you have developed over time uh, through immigrating? You immigrated at a very young age, like you mentioned at 19 is like very young. And what skills you developed uh, over time that helped you to navigate the challenges of immigration and to succeed in your new environment here in the US?
Sure. So, talking about skills, I think first thing I learned is to be very, very independent. Of course, you have to, like you said, right? For immigrants, honestly, sometimes I feel like a lot of our identity gets boiled down to documents that we have. It's like you need to have all your documents ready for whatever you go to. You could be going to get a driver's license or something like that, and you need to make sure, okay, do I have my this document right? Do I have from my early days when I moved in my record of when I came to US, like what apartments I stayed in, all of that. In a way, it makes you that, and also navigating other journeys of life. That's of course like one skill is independent. And another thing I have learned is somebody actually taught me, and that is you have to really, really speak up for yourself when something is impacting your life and you did not really do anything about it, if it makes sense. Example, I had a situation with as an international student, and I think I was about to graduate. So I had a little scenario with my international student office, and because of that I was getting delayed with my graduation. Some of the classes, there were some problems with that. I wouldn't go much in details. And at that time I remember I was honestly very sad. I thought, like, okay, you when you reach the final stage of you graduating and you are like, okay, all this is gonna be over, and then I'm gonna start something. Finally something's gonna happen. And when that happened, I remember I was very depressed, I was very sad. And at that time in my job, my supervisor who was working, he told me, well, this happened because not because of something that you did, but because of somebody else's, an institution or something like that. So you better go there, knock every door, and ask for what you deserve, and ask for them to fix that problem for you. So that is also, I think, like one of the most important things that I've learned.
Wow, thanks for sharing that personal experience. Yeah, we have all been through difficulties with the college administrations, and there have been times in many of our lives. But mentioning speaking up for yourself is an amazing quality, and not many people dare to do that, of course, due to maybe some political or overall situations that they're in at that moment. They wouldn't want to jeopardize their position in the community or society. But that's a good example from you to take away. You have to speak up for yourself because nobody else is going to do that for you. And I love that. So I know your immigration experiences, your student experiences, or overall personal experiences in the US after you left your country has shaped the work that you're doing today. And I know many things that you're doing, but I would love you to share more about your um, initiatives, projects that you're working, either as a volunteer, as a founder. Talk us through Chori Beyond Borders. Talk us through your volunteer position as a CASA. So, yeah, tell me all about it because I'm so excited to learn more.
Definitely, Shah. So, well, like I said, after graduating in 2024, I was reflecting, and then I got, my job, and I finally felt like I settled in. I finally felt like I checked some of the boxes after I came here as an immigrant, which was like completing my education, and then getting a job. And then, with that, just the basics of like what I wanted. But then I kind of honestly realized that a lot of the things that I did was not based on what I really wanted to do, but because I had to do those things because of my circumstances and because of my position in this country as an immigrant. I had to get those figured out, and I started really thinking about my journey and what I exactly wanted. What I exactly wanted when I was a little ambitious girl back in Nepal, and then what I really thought of what I would do before I came to US, and then before I got, tangled up in all these things. And I would reflect a lot on that. And in 2025, I had this idea of creating a space for, a lot of like Nepali women specifically who can feel what I feel, who have also gone through journeys as I have, because I talked with my friends and family, and everybody, really felt the way I did. Like my story was nothing special, to be honest. My story is like everybody else's, but we never really talked enough about it. And so with that, as I reflected a lot, then I came up with this idea of like making a space like that. So in 2025, I found Story Beyond Borders, which is a global mentorship platform. And so this will audience and everybody knows Chori basically means daughter in Nepali. So it's daughters beyond borders. And CBB was created to connect Nepali women and girls around the world with mentorship and with each other. So we are trying to take like mentorship and sisterhood all together. It began as a very grassroots level of initiative. It was just me and my laptop, just trying to put something out and trying to see, I knew it had potential, but I wanted to see if I would have everybody join me in this or not. But, I'm very glad that today, like, we have spanned across so many countries: Nepal, United States, UK, Austria, Australia, Germany, and Japan. We have so many women. We have built a community of like around 83 women in 1 year. So, that is Caribbean Borders. And outside of my professional work and Caribbean Borders, I would say I'm very passionate about service and advocacy. So, as you also know, and I know you also are one, I recently started my journey as a court appointed special advocate supporting children in the foster care system in the state of Tennessee. And with that, I also serve as a mentor for middle school girls through this organization called Play Like a Girl, helping them with like leadership skills and also explore STEM careers. And besides that, I was also fortunate to compete in Miss Nepal North America 2025, which is a pageant, and which is currently the only pageant for Nepali women in the U.S. And I was named the first runner-up.
Amazing. Those are some great experiences, professional journeys that you have, and I love all of them. I will come back to Miss Nepal, North America, but moving on about the Chori Beyond Borders, thanks for explaining the vision beyond that and what gap you saw and you wanted to fill. I believe if all of us could take a struggling moment of our life and make it better, even if it's not for ourselves, even if it's for someone else, that is an amazing opportunity that we can take. And you taking that struggles that you have had of finding your identity in a new country and trying to make it easier for other women, other Nepali women across the world, that is some beautiful work that you have done, and I'm so proud of that. So again, back to CASA, court appointed special advocate for children and foster care. That is very emotional, sensitive work that you're doing, because as you mentioned, I'm also a CASA in Washington State, and every day you working in cases, you face a lot of emotional challenges, a lot of difficulties, and it has a lot of mental toll in your mental health. And you being that courageous and strong enough to uh, manage all of those things is very powerful. So how do you manage, like, because it's very difficult, but how do you manage all these works that you're doing for your community and also for the community that you're living in right now?
Thank you, Shah. And then I'm glad you of course understand like what it means to be a CASA advocate. And I'll be honest, because I just started the journey and I just got my case handoff just yesterday, actually. So I'm just starting my journey on the case. But to your point, I remember when I had my interview for CASA, and then, I had all the questions about CASA, and then she explained what the cases would be. I actually cried in the interview. I did not realize, how emotionally hard it would be. But then going through training sessions for a month, seeing all these people, amazing, motivated, people with really good deeds and God in their heart coming together to really help for children really has been pushing me forward as well. So I'm really glad and I'm excited for the journey, but I'll be honest, I'm also very nervous in a way with this case. And I really hope that I can do and try and then be, the best that I can be as an advocate. And for that, I'd also love to have any advice that you have, from your experience. And talking about how I manage, I think it's just been me. I'm somebody who likes to keep myself very busy. In a sense, I if I stay unproductive or not do a lot of things, I will be very sad. I always want to have the feeling that I am doing something. I am making more of my everyday things, everyday activities. So, to manage it, I'll be honest, I carry a small notebook in my hand and I write down everything from my meetings. I go old school. I write meetings, I write who I have to talk with, I write what I have on this weekend coming up, which is like a small planner. And that is how I manage.
Wow, yeah, going old school is the way, because I also have that interest in writing everything, and I cannot. I tend to forget if I have it on my calendar, but if I have it in my notes in my notebook, I that's the way I manage all my work too. But coming back to when what you said, and congratulations on getting your first case as a CASA advocate. It's a very powerful work what you're doing and what we're doing and all the casas around the US. I believe it's a work that as a volunteer, of course, you're not getting paid for it, but the amount of responsibility that you have is anyways, it cannot be something that you'd ever get paid enough for, because basically the whole fate of a case or a child's future or a family's future is in your report. And just focusing on that and knowing at your heart that what you're doing is for the best interest of the children, and that you're putting your 100% on this case, and knowing that what you're doing is correct to your values and to the case, and not being biased by anything that has happened to you in your personal life, but taking it professionally. Of course, emotions come in the work that we do. It's a very tough job, but knowing that this is also not a place where you should put a lot of your emotions in, but think critically and do the best as you can. I am sure you have your supervisors who would help you throughout the process, but I am pretty sure you got this. You were built for it. The kind of person you are, I know you will do your best, and everything will be great. So again, best of luck with your case. It's gonna be a period of time until you write that report and hand it to court. But until then, you got this. Don't worry about it. Don't stress much. Everything will come up together beautifully.
Yeah, definitely. I'm both nervous and excited. But I love that we are all leading with heart in this and then giving up, so much. We are honestly giving our time and everything so that somebody else's life can be better with whatever little thing that we do, and that just gives us the happiness. And I'm very, excited.
I bet. Yeah, true. I agree. Going back to your Chori Beyond Borders work, have you ever had a mentor who has helped you in your life here in the US or wherever you've gone? Was there someone like that for you who could help you navigate life?
So, honestly, I think that is the reason why I had this vision of starting Toribian Border as a mentorship platform. Because I wouldn't really say I had, a mentor specifically who really helped me navigate a lot. Of course, I have had my family, my friends, my cousins, my sisters who have always given me support. But I haven't really had a mentor, before. Just like I said, I think you can also relate to it, especially when you're first generation college student. Just like my family, I come from very middle class in Nepal. My parents didn't really study much. They didn't even know, like, what course I was, really leaning towards. They didn't know anything much about GPAs or semester, what was going on. So it was like when I got into college and everything, they didn't even know a lot of process because I was really trying to handle everything by my own. And after coming here as well, didn't really have a mentor figure. But now, however, in the pursuit of trying to make a mentorship platform where I could have um, a young Nepali woman or anybody who is trying to grow professionally or anything with anything in their life, trying to find somebody, a mentor and a mentee match, I would say right now, though, I think I found a mentor for me. And then she's also joined me right now. Her name is Dr. Anita Silwal in Chori Beyond Borders. And, I'm very glad I met her early on, maybe in 3 months after I started. And she gave me a lot of insight on how I could make this platform better. She is currently also, she is a professor at Oklahoma State University. She has helped me she's helped me understand more of the space itself and how I can grow and how to you know focus on small details, just like making the mentorship package better or like getting the forms better, and stuffs like that. So she is the mentor figure for me right now, especially for Caribbean Borders.
That's great to know that you have had a mentor who has also played a great role in your life, even if it was after you had to navigate your life through your own. But it's good to have someone beside you helping you or assisting you either with the projects or everything you do. So I'm glad that you got that support from a mentor. But you mentioned about your cousin here with you. So tell me about, apart from your cousin who has been a great support for you, who else has been there to support you rebuild your life, whether it was emotionally, socially, or professionally?
Definitely. So, when I think about my journey as a whole, of course, when I was in Nepal, then, you have a whole support system in there. But after I came here, my cousin, my brother-in-law, they were the top tier support for me. Besides that, I would, of course, give credit to my sisters and my friends, everybody who's always been supporting me. One thing that I really love in this support aspect is how I think, like, especially your sisters and your cousins try to look at you from a larger scale. If you know what I mean. They sometimes there could be times when you are not very sure of yourself, you don't feel very confident, and they'll be the ones that will be hyping you up, they'll be the ones who'll be telling you, of course, you got this. This is the kind of person you are. And they'll be reminding you of that. So, my family, my friends, cousins, sisters, they have all been amazing support. And besides that, I would also say, my instructors, different instructors that I met in my college journey, they have been great support for me.
That's great. You also touched on one of the other questions that I wanted to ask, and mentioned that whenever you were in doubt about yourself, your sisters and your cousins were there to help you or to let you know that you got it. You will move through it with grace, and I'm really glad that you have people like those in your life. We all need support systems, even if we're at home or in another country. Support system is always a great source of energy, I would say, and reliability. Let's go now to the chapter that you mentioned briefly, and I'm really excited to talk about is your experience with Miss Nepal, North America. I'd love to learn more about what inspired you to step onto that stage and what that experience taught you.
Sure. So, to talk about Miss Nepal North America, I'll say it was not my first pageant, actually. So, I had been in pageants when I was in Nepal as well, when I was, 16, 17. I was in pageants. So, I already was familiar with, how pageants were and then how it would go as. But after I came here, of course, for some time, I didn't really think much about pageants or any of it. But, of course, like when you get some of the things that you're initially meant to do, this like getting a job, getting somehow settled down. And then I think I started thinking back about like, oh, some of the pageants that I did. And then I saw Miss Nepal North America was only, currently the only pageant that they had for Nepali women here in the US. And it seemed like a great opportunity for me, not just to go and then show, what I have made out of myself, let's just say, share my journey, but also especially to hear stories of, all these women in Nepali diaspora and hear their side of story. And it was so amazing. We had all the contestants that we had there. Some of them were born here, some of them moved here early in the age. A lot of them came here as international students. So connecting with them was so exciting. I was so excited, especially because I had not really been around that many Nepali women in a long, long time. So, I think that was very, very exciting.
Yeah, it feels so good to be around your own people and to be a pageant queen. I'm so honored to have you with me, seriously, because it's such a great title. So, you mentioned that you were the first runner-up, and then you received the Miss Intellectual Award. What did those recognitions mean to you personally?
So the recognitions, I would say, for Miss Intellectual Award, of course, I think in a way, my personal favorite award in all the awards was Miss Intellectual Award. I don't know, maybe because I always grew up as someone who was very, who wanted to do things, a lot of things academically. And then I think, I'll be honest, in a way, I've always looked for validation, the academic validation, or not just academic, but with that it also comes with trying, as women especially, I think, or anybody as well, but we want people to see more beyond like how we just look. And I think especially on pageants, a lot of time people just think it's a modeling contest, you are going there just walking and smiling, but people forget the essence of pageant is actually more than that. And I think especially as first runner up, um, the award really helped me see more of like what a woman could be, especially in today's day and time. Not just seeing you for how you look, but also the pageant was a way of showing what you have done, how you're contributing, or what your vision is. So that is what I would say.
That's great. You touched on the misconceptions that people have about pageants only being about looks and appearance wise, but it's more than that. I'm so happy that you've had that experience in your life, and that was a learning platform also for you. So, what does home mean to you today?
That's a very tough, or maybe I should say a very emotional question, but I also really love it. Um, when you think about home as a concept, I would say, previously you think about home as a place, right? A place. For a long time, yes, home felt like a place. But I think as I've grown up, I think home is more complicated than just a place. For example, Nepal will always be a home for me because it's where my roots are, it's where my values, culture, and my family is, right? But now, I've also built a life in the US, and I built friendship and I built community, and then also, in a way, I've built my purpose here. So now home feels less like a single location, but now more like people, values, and connections that I can carry wherever I go to.
That's that's a beautiful way to put it. Really, when you're younger or a child, you only think of home as the home that you live in with your parents, or your families come in and go. But then you grow up and you understand that there is a deeper meaning to home, and you beautifully explained that. Thank you for that, Krishma. Now, this is the part where I would ask you to tell me, if someone wrote a book about you, what would the title be?
Okay. Now, when you asked that question initially at the start of this podcast, at that time, I think in a way I felt like, okay, what would I say? I had that in my mind. But now, especially after talking to you, and then in a way, it's been such a reflection of my journey overall, and also looking at my purpose overall. I think I finally come up with the title. And then I think I would just say, an ordinary girl with extraordinary dreams.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's perfect. It's good that you came up with that like throughout the podcast. Yeah, you're right. We all reflect on the things when we talk about them. So that's good to know that my questions or this platform made you reflect on all the amazing achievements that you've had and come up with that. So, an ordinary girl with extraordinary dreams. Perfect. Thank you so much, Karishma. It was lovely talking to you. And honestly, I really enjoyed this session. I learned a lot more about you than that first initial meeting that we had, and hoping to learn more in the process, and seeing you again in person somewhere. So I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you so much for giving me your time and coming to my podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you, Shadok. I really enjoyed as well, of course. I remember, like I said, the first time, I saw you and talking, and how the whole room went silent when you were talking. And then, of course, we've been in contact. And then I see your vision behind making this podcast, and what you hope to really bring light on, all the different stories of everybody who's come here, made a life, out of scratch, and like I think how you said in your podcast, and had to resettled, and then be rising in their journey, in their story. It's really beautiful. And I really hope, you make this platform even bigger and bigger, bring in more stories for, for all of us. Actually, the stories, when you highlight them, then it really helps maybe new immigrants or anybody who's really going through, a down part in their life. Really, for them, it really gives hope, motivation, just hearing people who made it despite the struggles. So thank you for that, Chaduk. And I'm really glad. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Absolutely. And you have beautifully put everything that I have envisioned for this podcast. My whole purpose for this podcast was everything that you just said. And hopefully, people get to know more information about not the only struggling parts, but the beautiful rising parts and the achievements that all my guests, including you, have had in their whole journey. Thank you so much, Krishma. Hope to talk to you soon again.
Definitely. Thank you, Shadok.